one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we start, I want to say thank you for allowing us to use your space here at the airport. I'm glad we're starting to do this again. We kind of got away from it for a while. It's a great building, and we should be having more meetings at different county facilities more often. Let's see. We'll look for discussion on the minutes. First from Dr. Holst, second from Ms. Lockwood. All right. Any changes or anything? No? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion carries. All right. IT1, resolution authorizing budget modification of the Highway Department to transfer funds from Insurance Recovery Fund into highway expense. All right. First by Martino, second by Hulse. Any discussion? Any discussion? No discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Moving to IT2, resolution creating one new temporary position in the Buildings and Grounds Department. Looking for motions for discussion. Legislator Hulse.
Second.
Legislator Lockwood. All right. Any discussion? None. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Moving to IT3, resolution increasing authorization to capital project number C0122 Bonner Street Complex renovation. Looking for motions for discussion. First by Legislator Martino.
Second.
Second down at the bottom. All right. Everybody, we know everybody here is taking a deep dive into this one.
If I'm not mistaken, Mr. Vice Chair, that we had monies left over from the elevator project.
Yes.
Within the LOB, it's going to be used for this project. Is that
Right.
in total, Phil, or is that, or do we have to add to it?
I think this is enough, correct me if I'm wrong, Rick, that it will cover the cost of this.
We're asking for the 154,000, but this project should only take 126,000.
Okay, perfect. All right, so moving some money over, nobody likes it, but we do have to have an operating elevator within the facility as we went through it at LOB, so. Yeah, we gotta be compliant, Mr. Code guys, so. All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None, motion carries. Moving to IT4, resolution authorizing budget modifications supplementing existing capital project to fund completion of the network upgrade project with the Department of Information Technology. Alright, looking for appropriate motions for discussion. First by Legislator Lockwood.
Second.
And a second. Legislator Ure. Alright, any discussion on this? I believe this is the next phase of the many phases of upgrades we've been making.
This consolidates the remaining phases, so it's the second phase, but the last phase as well. The efficiencies we anticipated realizing with this new system, enterprise-grade system, are allowing us to get this rolled out quicker, and I'm anxious to get it all stood up because there's some real advantages to it. There's quite a bit of logistical grunt work, just getting stuff deployed and cabled and all that, but we've got that process. We're getting dialed in more and more. Health department is pretty well complete. I'm working on legislative office building, tentatively looking to cut that over possibly this Saturday. I'll know for sure. If not, maybe a week later than that, and then a couple more weeks after that, cut over DSS, and work through getting the 5 large buildings knocked out, and all the rest of the buildings are relatively easy and should move along pretty quickly. Anticipating having this done by the end of the year.
The only thing I wanted to touch base on with that is, I know you're familiar that 911 did the grid mapping. I just left CSI earlier. They're also talking about interfacing cameras as well with schools, with law enforcement and EMS and 911 dispatch. Have you talked with them at all about being able to also work that in with 911 if it's needed?
Yep.
Alrighty. Any other discussion? All's in favor? Any opposed? None? Motion carries. All right, on to reporting departments, building and grounds.
Our Bunner Street project, we started moving people in. We have the public defender, they're in place, all of them are up and working, using that facility. We have a signed council that we've moved their furniture around. We're waiting to speak with Rachel again one more time just to finalize the locations of her furniture, but everything's ready to go in there. And the guys today started unloading those Verdi boxes and bringing everything in for office for the agent. And hopefully, I believe they have a furniture delivery on the 12th. Hopefully after that, they'll be totally up and running and in that area. So then we can start after that, taking all the furniture out of the other end of the building, putting in Verdi boxes and getting the flooring done in there to keep us on schedule. That's the biggest project. The Pulaski project, we're expecting our prices to come in the middle of next week. We can start going over those. We had a lot of vendors come out and look at the project, so hopefully we get some good price in there. The rooftop unit at the LOB that we just got approved last month, it's gonna be delivered to our shop on Monday. So it was in stock, I believe, someplace in Wisconsin, and it's on its way here. So that's good news.
Who's doing the installation of that?
That's still getting priced out. That's, we got this unit through state pricing just to get a better price on it, and now everything's going out for pricing. So I would imagine that, well, we'll reach out to some people, but it'll be the normal people that bid on most of our stuff.
Sure.
And,
What manufacturing rooftop?
it's a Carrier. It's a replacement for the one that's there. And that's why we're hoping our pricing is gonna be a little better. Same voltage, same everything, just have to,
All compatible.
yeah, it just
connections?
relocating pipes. So hopefully it's as easy as I'm making it sound. But Cam Paulus, we just got the scope out there. So we're hopefully gonna be doing a little electric upgrade on the service out there. I know that capital project was approved a month or so ago, and we finally got the scope in from Tetra Tech, so we can hopefully get that moving. And the elevator has, all the components for that have been ordered already, so.
All right. Highway.
What do you want to hear first?
Good
Well,
news.
When it sounds good, I don't wanna hear it.
Okay, I'll tell you, we all heard, we lost our salt shed in Parrish and one of our cold storage buildings from the weight of the snow and all the rain we had. So we started shoveling more roofs off, and we're doing pretty good now. We were out there for 2 weeks shoveling the roofs. So other than that, we've had somewhat of a real winter compared to the last 4 or 5 years. And we've been really pushing the pencil. Phil likes hearing that with the overtime, but it's just, you know, we're working 24/7 around the clock. The guys have been doing a great job, and there's really not much I can say about what they've done. They've done good. A few fender benders here, which a lot of them weren't our faults. People have run into us. So,
Everybody's always in a hurry.
and that's what it is. You can't see nothing, but they gotta get to the grocery store. So, but, this Monday, we have an appointment for the salt shed with contractors coming in to see what we got for scope of work. Well, they're putting that
I
up.
know you've contacted the insurance company.
Yes.
And
Didn't Chester go out?
I met him, and then he sent a building contractor after the fact. They were supposed to meet, but one was sick and couldn't make it, so he came out after I met him there. He was there for 2 hours, looking at everything we had. I gave him all the prints that we had for it, and he goes, "Oh, that's perfect." Then he ain't got to figure out if it's 2x4s or 2x6s, so a lot easier.
I want to look into maybe possibly making things a little heavier.
Well, our scope is gonna be, that one wasn't a concrete wall all the way around, and I'd like to do a concrete wall, 12-foot wall, like the one in Scribe Garage has. Cause this has a 2x8s, all pressure treated it was, and they're that's when you push the loader against the scoop the salt. I go, we gotta have concrete like, you know, our other one, so they're putting the scope out for that.
Very good.
Alright.
No, that's it.
Perfect. No questions? Alright, solid waste.
We're taking half the earth down this week for a normal maintenance shutdown. It'll be down for about 3 weeks, half of it. So we'll be taking majority of the waste to Bristol Hill. We've been looking at some things, Joe and I, schedule-wise. We've got a big year this year with the earth, so I'm gonna get with purchasing. We'll talk to Holly tomorrow. I need to get some specs together and out on the street for some concrete work for the wall that actually Paul looked at with me last year, and the dump floor. We will be looking at taking the earth out of action for 8 to 12 weeks this summer to get this work done. So I had a meeting with next door last week and let them know some of these things, and we discussed some other things. So they want another meeting with me next week, which I will have. So this outage that we're planning, actually, I'm trying to tie it together with putting the fluff layer in the new cell at Bristol Hill, because it will take all the trash to Bristol Hill then. And cell 4 is getting near the top, so it's gonna be a timing thing. We're working very hard to monitor all of this. So that's really the overall big picture at the moment of the department. The last guy is up and running. I don't know if anybody's gotten any phone calls or any complaints, but there's a few little minor things. We got parts for the garage door ordered, and I've got some little electrical things I've got to do on the hydraulic system. But other than that, I think we're in good shape. So, in a nutshell, that's it. And then when do you and I need to ask for at the end?
Yeah, we can, ask for an executive session after.
Okay. So yeah, that's it for me for.
Thank you. Moving on to airport.
Happy to see everybody out here again. Thank you guys. And glad it wasn't a week or two ago, because it didn't quite look like that it's a week or two ago. I don't know if you guys realize that we can't use salt here. It corrodes the aluminum on the airplanes. So we just plow. And it creates a layer of hard pack on the apron areas. Thankfully, it's been kind of warm the last couple of days, and we've been able to get all of that off. I'm out to bid right now for a new piece of equipment. It's a large payloader with a 30-foot wide runway plow, and it actually has hydraulic wings on the side, so you can turn it into a box blade, or you can put it backwards and it angles. That will be, and I'm very happy about this, that through the FAA Reauthorization Act of last year, all projects that are funded with the FAA for fiscal year 25 and 26 are 95% federal, 2.5 state, and 2.5 county, where it used to be the 95 and 5, so we're only on the hook for 2.5% of this project. And soon it's going to be a little over $500,000. We only have to cover 2.5 of that. That's really going to help us with that hard pack accumulation out there, and it's just, so it's been pretty slow the last couple of weeks, obviously. I didn't pay all these people to actually have some activity while they were here. We do have a charter jet coming in at 3:45. If anybody wants to stick around, check that out. Yesterday, we had a nice little jet come in. It was a patient airlift services. So what those do is anybody that needs medical treatment outside of the area of Boston, Ohio, wherever, the pilots donate their plane, their time, their fuel, everything to bring those patients to wherever they need to go. I don't know if everybody realizes that's something we do out here. A lot of our local pilots do it. This guy came, I don't remember where they were going, but just another service that the airport provides. So that's most of it. I'm out to bid for that equipment. We've also got, I've got an application in to switch the whole airport over to LED lighting. That's the design phase of the project. Here's a picture of the plow. That's gonna be, I think it's $180,000 total for the design phase of converting to LED. Incandescents are no longer manufactured anymore. All of these light bulbs you see out there are incandescent. So LED will give us cost savings. It'll be a universal project so that we have one manufacturer. We can keep just one part and replace anything. We can't get incandescent bulbs anymore. So that's $180,000. I've got the application in next month. I'll be coming to you asking for the capital project for that and pre-authorization. Again, we'll be on the hook for 2.5%, which is $4,500. So I think we'll see that cost savings pretty quick when we do convert to LED.
Brandon, this plow,
Yes.
it's just the plow?
It's the plow and a payloader. I
And the
didn't print off
payloader. No, I was just curious.
Through this program, it needs to, it used to be called the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. I believe the name has very recently changed to Infrastructure something. It's same program, different name. The requirements are Build America and Buy America requirements, so we don't know necessarily what payloader we get, whether it's gonna be John Deere or Hyundai.
Mhm.
So probably a John Deere. So, but that'll help us out a lot. It slows down here considerably in the winter. That's gonna help us tremendously. So, and thankfully, it just happens to be 2.5% here as opposed to the 5%.
Yep.
It's pretty sweet.
It is pretty, we're pretty excited.
Go ahead, Paul.
With all these federal cutbacks, are we sure that that's going to be all given? I mean, does the FAA
We're
have?
slamming the applications in right now to get everything in right
Okay,
now.
just a question,
I
whether
don't know that we're
backlash-
sure, but the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, which has again recently changed names to, I forget what it is, I don't know. That we've got a couple of years of funding banked,
Okay.
which is gonna give us that, I think we have $750,000 banked right now, to where this combined will probably be somewhere between $500,000, $600,000. So we do have that set aside in our bank. Moving forward, we'll
I
see
know,
what happens.
I was just down at my daughter's this last weekend. She's a contractor for the government. And listening to some of her stories of what they're doing and how they're doing it, it's just.
It's gotten a little more difficult with us. We report to the New York Airport District Office, where there's 5, there's an engineer, an environmentalist, and we no longer have an environmentalist at the New York ADO, so every project needs to have an environmental done prior to it. So everything's in there and submitted on our end and sitting there.
We'll see. Thanks, Brent.
Yeah.
Anything further? All right, social services.
We continue to work on upgrading computers to Windows 11 for our deadline on that in October, so we're plugging away at it, about 2/3 done. We've been prepping the gear for rabies clinics. They're starting up here in the next couple of weeks. It's a pretty light lift for us, but the team always checks those out ahead of time so that those clinics go smooth. We have a schedule, tech sign up for it, so we have that filled out for the rabies clinic season. Make it as simple and straightforward as possible. Just recently completed working with 911 on upgrading their CAD server. There's a bit more to do on that, but the heavy lift of that is done. We're also the primary VPN tool used by public safety partner agencies for connection into the CAD system, which is NetMotion, Absolute Secure Connect. We're transitioning all the users off the older servers to a new pair of servers. That's ongoing, working with 911 on that. There's some nicer functionality with that, better load balancing between the primary server that's at Public Safety Center and the secondary that runs at on the virtual server stack at DSS. So that's coming along. then we'll retire those older servers. Wanted to mention, we've seen an uptick in phishing activity. Phishing meaning fraudulent emails that get sent to users to trick them into clicking on something, downloading something. We do have another phishing assessment that we contract for through New York State Dishes. It's at no cost. They have a couple other services they offer too that are really nice services. We're getting that scheduled now, so in the next month or so, I think we'll activate that. It's a good reminder, and there's training built into it for users. We continue to migrate our syslog, our review of the logs that come from all of our different systems. We had a third-party service that we have sunsetted with at the end of the year, and we're transitioning all that to another service through New York State. They, as I had mentioned in previous meetings, their Joint Security Operations Center downstate, where they're ingesting all these logs. They're onboarding counties. They've actually taken a little bit of break on it, I think, to kind of get their arms around all they're doing. The scope of what we can send to them is considerably bigger than what we were paying for with a third party. So we're sending more to them now than we did with a third party, but we have more to do. Eventually we'll have the majority of our systems and servers pointed at that. To the JSOC, they use a mainstream tool, an IBM tool for evaluating, scanning all that information, looking for signs of malicious activity. Because they're ingesting log data from the large cities in the state, excluding New York City, they have their own security operations center. But Buffalo, Syracuse, I think there's a dozen, maybe 15 counties that are on board with them at this point. They're going to have this big picture perspective, and if they see trends, they can potentially cut things off, address things ahead of time, notify counties. So it's a really great concept, and so we're continuing to plug away at that. Other big item that we're working on, the video surveillance system cameras, phase 2. The remainder of the cameras to do. We want to go kind of back and forth tweaking the purchase order on that. That's just gone in, so we're starting to get activated on getting the rest of those cameras deployed. And more of a priority area for us, I think, is the health department, because the east end of it is absent cameras for the most part. We have a number of the cameras already. They were purchased as part of phase 1, so we're working on scheduling with Johnson Controls to get those installed. And actually, their technician that installs them is the same guy that does their access control systems for the doors, and he's there working now. So we've been kind of surveying the site with him to kind of get this going as quickly as we can. But there is some other hardware we need too. That's part of that second purchase order. I talked to you about the network project and kind of where we're at that. Doing LOB next, and moving on to DSS, and then a bunch of incidental things, other sites. And one of the other things that was out there, I mentioned that we're looking to onboard another phone service provider. Our existing one that has the bulk of our VoIP phones, our internet-based phones. So we're kind of getting our feet wet with another provider.
How's it working out? You brought it to us last month.
As far as I know, they're working on testing and getting the EVA stuff stood up. We're still working on getting this other phone service provider stood up. And our approach to that, I got to get this list to fill in, I think, to department heads. But we're coming up with a list of numbers we want to port over to this other provider. And our strategy there is to pick at the 5 main buildings, like 8-10 numbers at each building. We're thinking like the department head's phone number, something like that, not the main lines necessarily, so that if our primary provider goes down, we have some numbers in each of the 5 buildings on this other service, so we're not necessarily dead in the water. At least that's been our first pass on this, and need to kind of get that out, and I guess get it blessed before we port them over. But we have the option to we could probably do up to 70, 80 numbers because of the the number of trunks we're gonna do. So still working on that, kind of figuring out what's the best way to do that. So I've gotta send an email to leadership on that, make sure we are thinking on that right before we port these numbers over.
Alright,
Yeah.
awesome. Alright, so we're gonna forego the financial reports and that next month. And,
Make a motion, we go into executive session.
Regarding the financial or credit history of a particular person or corporation.
Thank you.
second by legislator Holmes. All those in favor? Any opposed? None? IT5, resolution authorizing the execution of an interim energy sales agreement with Niagara Mohawk Power Corporation, EDA, National Grid, Sewer Company, Energy Recovery Facility, and service class, with the service class 6 tariff. Attached to it.
I make that motion.
First by legislator Martino, second by legislator Holmes. Any further discussion needed? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None, motion carries. I will look for the, for something else, look for the appropriate motion.
I move.
We've got a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
You
None
opposed?
opposed, motion carries.
I oppose that.